everyone. I am Patty Burke, hosting today. I'm taking over Regina's spot, who's normally the interviewer. But this time around, I am going to be interviewing and talking about financial information, gleaming information from Regina Hess, our financial expert on this program. So my name is Patty Burke. I am a certified health and life coach, and I have a coaching company, Whole Body Focus, and a corporate wellness company called Whole Health. So we are here today, continuing our series in thriving in your health and wealth. And I'm so privileged and thrilled to be talking with Regina Hess, who is our financial advisor. And she is going to introduce herself, and we're going to talk about, since we are here in January and the new year, talk about planning and budgeting for our lifestyle to optimize our finances. So Gina, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Regina Mccann Hess, president of Forge Wealth Management, and I am a certified financial planner, and I work with people every day planning their financial life. And one of the basic things to talk about is creating a household budget. And we get caught up in the day-to-day of, doing everything, running our lives, running our families and our professional world, that we sometimes forget to go back to the basics. And going back to the basics in January is a great time to do it, or February, because it's the, end of last year, the beginning of this new year. And it's a great time to look at what you did last year and figure out, well, what can I do to, make more progress in the new year? And the best way to do that is to look at your budget.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Yeah. It also matters, like we usually talk about, it matters in our overall wellness, right? So if we are feeling comfortable with our finances, then we're going to live a happier life, and it'll affect our mood, which then affects our body and our disease management and this and that.
Yeah. And
financial stress can be a real thing.
Right. Sure, and statistics show that's the leading cause of household stress is money.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
So you and I are talking much more you're talking about how can we de-escalate our stress? How can we take care of our stress? And here's one of the ways to take care of your budget so that you can decrease the stress.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But the problem is a lot of people don't even have a system for doing it. They're just, they're going as, paying as they go type of thing. And they're like, all right, well, I'm not in debt or I might be in debt, but I'm living paycheck to paycheck, or wherever you are on the map. It's still good to kind of take a base look at what you're doing and compare it to what you did last year and see where you want to be for the following year.
Well, the way I see it, it's financial assessment.
Mm-hmm.
We constantly, the more we are self-aware, then the better we can see if there's any problems, that are going to come up. And avert them before they come up. So it's perfect. So in order to keep track of our finances, you're going to help us learn how to do that today, right?
And you know what else it's a hidden danger is lifestyle creep. So when you and I started out in our careers and we were out of college and we were, the young bucks in our professional world, we were much more in tune with our spending because we knew we didn't have a lot and we had to make that dollar go a long, long way.
True.
But as you go in your profession and you make more money, people tend to live at a higher lifestyle. Instead of trying to, save more, they're spending more. So again, it goes back to, let's take a look at that budget and see where our spending is.
So what's speaking of savings, and I know you want to get into budgeting, what's your overall rule of thumb regarding percentage of saving? When do we start and why do that?
Well, I will tell you that I have a couple different rules on that, but one of the best things that I do for my clients' kids who are adults at that point, when they graduate college, I will complimentary sit down with them and say, okay, where are you? You're just starting out at this new job. You're a new professional in a new world. You're now adulting, right?
Right,
And we'll look at what they're making. We'll look at any credit card debt that they accumulated in college, because the credit cards are on the college campuses and they're getting them used to spending that money they don't have.
crazy, right.
And yeah, and although that's gotten better over the past couple of years. And then of course, the biggest problem that our graduates are facing is the student loan debt.
To the debt. Mhm.
So yeah, so I'll sit and I'll talk to them about what they're making, and I'll talk to them about lifestyle creep. And I say, look, you're used to being poor. Let's continue to be poor for the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah,
Bang out this student loan debt, and at the same time, you are eligible for your 401k either right away or 3 months, just depends on the company.
awesome.
Let's start you in your 401k as much as we can afford to, and then we'll increase that each year or every time you get a raise. And then,
Okay.
lo and behold, 5, 10 years from now, you already have a little nest egg that you didn't even know you had. And your student loan debt is either lower or paid off, because if you're
Yeah.
definitely in tune to making that a goal,
Mhm.
then when it comes time to settle down and buy that house, you can now possibly get a mortgage, because there's some kids who can't get a mortgage because their student loan payments are more than a mortgage payment would be.
Right,
It's really
right.
scary.
Yeah, so
So
money can make money, and that's a whole nother topic we'll have another day
right,
on how do you best invest your 401k money and so forth. Money can
yeah,
make money.
yeah,
But
yeah,
right
yeah,
now we
exactly.
wanna talk about our incoming money. What's
Right.
coming in and what's going out?
Right, right. So let's start there. Where you start there is your budgeting basics. Know what you earn. Kind of look at your paycheck, look at your pay stub, and do it a couple times a year. Are you getting bonuses? And I generally don't like to include the bonuses on your daily living expenses. Those are the great pat yourself on the back.
Be
Put it,
saving. Yeah.
yeah. And I have a 1/3 rule. 1/3 goes towards your rainy day savings. 1/3 goes towards increasing your retirement savings, and the other third, pat yourself on the back and go spend some money and
Splurge.
congratulate yourself. So that way they feel like they're getting something.
Perfect.
Yeah, right. And
Yeah.
and it's easier than them getting the money and then taking it away and saving it, because they're not used to spending it yet.
Mhm. Love
So
that.
so
So
that's
pretend
like
it
I
wasn't
have all
even
these
there.
little crazy things that I do.
Yeah, love that third. Okay.
So know what you earn, right? Yeah, know
Yeah.
what you make. Know where you spend it. This is the biggest problem that I see with
Smart.
people, and even myself. I was telling you earlier, so I'll pick on myself right now. Know where you spend your money. Every year, see, I don't just pick on my clients. I do this too, right? Every
We're all
year.
human.
I know it's crazy, but then my family pays the price, because I say, "Oh gosh, no more eating out, because this
Yeah.
is ridiculous."
Yeah.
So in January, I look at all of our expenses from the previous year and I categorize them and everything, and I see where all that money is going. And last year, I was like, "Wow, we're spending way more money than we should be." And I narrowed it down to, and it was eating out. We we
Restaurants.
we were eating out a lot. Well, obviously, this year we didn't have that
Right.
problem.
Yep.
But in the beginning of the year, I made a plan. I'm like, here's our dollar amount
Yeah.
every month that we're allowed to spend on restaurants, not a penny more. And everybody was like, "Oh, you're a buzzkill."
Yeah.
But you got to
But
do
you
it, right?
got it.
You got to
So
do
so
it.
what happened? So how do you do that in January? So you're
So
saying look
you're
back, is it an Excel spreadsheet? You could do it by hand,
so you're
categorize?
yeah, a couple different ways. Your credit cards will send you a year-end most credit cards will send you a year-end summary statement, and they'll categorize it. And then your bank statements, you might be able to categorize them as well. I do it along the way. I'm an old Excel person. I have an Excel spreadsheet that I make categories of my spending as we go. So every month I can check it in as I pay that bill or whatever. But I'm a little bit more anal about things with,
Well,
with
you're a
that.
money gal, and not a lot of us are.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and you
But
don't
if
mind playing around on the spreadsheet, but
right,
that's so in any way that you can come up with for your
right.
own self.
So
So what
another
are
way
the
to do it
categories?
Yeah, another way to do it is, you can look at your bank statements every month. You can go back and online and go pull them and just highlight stuff for yourself and your credit card statements. And I really, really implore people to look at their credit card statements, not just one, look at 6 months of credit card statements, because that's where
Yeah,
you really see where that money's going out. It's the monthly fees that you're paying for all the services. It's
subscription.
the
Mhm.
prescriptions. Thank you. Um,
Subscriptions. Yeah,
Subscriptions. Yes, yes.
yeah.
Thank you. Corrections. And the how many times a week are we stopping at the coffee shop to pay $8 for a coffee that we can make at home for $1? Going out to lunch versus bringing your lunch. So those
Mhm.
little things seem, yeah, that's not a big deal. But when you look at them in mass and
Yeah,
add them
it
up,
adds up. Mhm.
it's huge. So that is a great way to find out where you're spending your money. And
Okay,
then
the
you
other thing
can,
is utility. A lot of people do online banking, so you
yes,
can easily pull up in a month, what did I pay for my utilities, my
yes,
water bill, my electric,
yep,
cell phone bills. These are regular standard payments every month.
for
You
sure,
can gauge those
for
pretty
sure.
easily.
Yeah, and if you don't want to do it on your own, there are budgeting apps that you can use
Okay.
that are pretty decent, and there's plenty of those apps available for people to use.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and then the other thing, I think the big thing when you're looking at your expenses, especially on the credit card and some people Venmo a lot now, but if you look at that, look at as, is that a need or a want? Do
Mm,
I need 5 shop stops a
right,
week?
right.
Do I want those 5 shop stops
Mhm.
a week? So it's a big difference. And pre-pandemic, I had sat down with many people and had these conversations with people, when they need me to. And it was hard for them to say, well, that's really a need, not a want. And I'm like, well, really, no, that, sometimes I have to be, tough guy and say, well, no, that's not a need. That's a want. So but post pandemic, well, not post pandemic because we're still in the middle of it. It'll never end. But in the midst of the pandemic, I've had those same conversations with those same people, and they say, "Yeah, you're right. I don't need it, and I've survived without those purchases." So that is a
Yeah,
great way to give yourself more money for your savings for your rainy day.
definitely,
So those
definitely.
are great conversations to have with your family, with your kids, even, educating them about the process as well.
And
Um,
yeah, I agree. And you had mentioned something about habits, habits of, living what we become accustomed to.
yes.
Can you explain a little bit more?
So, you know, in in our worlds, it's, you get used to a certain style of living, and then as you make more money, you naturally say, well, then I can spend more money. And some things are needed, just to survive. I don't know how I could survive without a
Mhm.
cell phone, right? That's a
Right.
necessity. I would agree with most people that that is a necessity. But some of the apps, do I need all the subscriptions,
Mhm.
services on
Mhm.
those monthly
Yeah.
plans? I don't know. And I can't answer that for people, only they can, right? Is it something that's going to help them with their health? Well, then you have to look at it as, well, then that might be a
Yeah. A
necessity, right?
choice. Right.
Versus, is it just to have your nails done 5 times a month? Is that really a necessity, and can you pull that back? But then you have the conversation with some people, and I'm just picking on the girls here because I'm a girl and I can do that. um some ladies believe that they have to get their nails done every so often, and that is a necessity. Well, in reality is, it's really not a necessity. So that's where your lifestyle, the spending becomes mixed with what you think
Yeah.
is, required by society.
What you became comfortable. doing too.
Right.
So breaking a habit, can be uncomfortable for a couple weeks or a
Exactly.
month. And then we can relax into it after a while. So we do have to just be aware and
Right.
be strong enough to make those choices. So here's the other thing I was getting at regarding habit. How about the people who are in the habit of living off of credit, a
Oh,
high credit
oh,
card,
you're going to get me started on that, aren't you?
right?
Oh,
And you can get in the habit of just thinking,
yes.
I can live beyond my means and run $10,000 on my credit card and pay like that ridiculous interest.
Yeah. And
What's
they
your
are,
thought on that?
don't do it.
Okay.
If you
Bottom
can't,
line.
if you can't pay that credit card off every month, you should lock that credit card in a drawer and
Cut
never
it
take
up.
it out again. Never
Yeah.
take it out again. I mean, you do need a credit card because it does,
Yeah.
believe it or not, you do need a credit card because it helps your credit well, it can help or hurt your credit history depending on
Right.
how you're using it, right? But when you're going to apply for a loan of some sort, you're buying a new car or whatever, they're looking at your credit report and they're always looking at your credit card utilization and
Sure.
your payment history. So a lot of times I'll tell people, especially younger people trying to build their credit history, use the credit card for gas only. And every month, make sure you pay that credit card off because that is a great way to build your credit history.
Perfect.
However, if you're in a store and you're buying a big ticket item, yes, you can use that credit card, but do you have the money in the bank at that point in time to pay that bill if it comes in tomorrow?
Yeah.
If the answer is no, then you don't need that big ticket item yet. You wait until you have that cash in the bank account to pay that credit card. Because go ahead.
Yeah, because the other thing is there might be an appliance that breaks down or your car repair. And so now this month you have a $500 bill that you didn't expect
Right.
to have, and you don't want to put that back on your credit card. You want to be able to have this slush fund for emergency
Right.
expenses.
And what people don't realize is the credit cards and the debt can become overwhelming and very quickly. And one
Mhm.
bad thing, I mean, even if you're, good at budgeting and good at paying yourself and good at saving, we're all one bad event away from, a financial possibility of bad things happening.
Mhm.
So keeping that clean credit card balance as much as possible helps you, withstand an event like that. And usually those are like healthcare events or divorce. A lot of times, those life transformations happen, and that's when we have those situations. But
Mhm.
to credit card balances can really negatively impact your financial future as well, because I've talked to people who make really good money, and they're saving some money, and have assets, but they're not taking care of the other part of their balance sheet. And that can really change your outlook for
Yeah.
your financial goals for the future, that it just might not be feasible unless you're taking care of that part of the balance sheet. So keeping your debt low goes back to, again, that stress, the money, and can you
Yeah.
sleep at night knowing that credit card statement's coming in and you can only pay the minimum payment due? Do not pay the minimum payment due. You'll be paying that balance for years and
Forever.
years and years.
Yeah.
And whatever you bought, is it worth a 15% interest rate on the credit card? I mean, some are 9 and some are 20. I don't know. So
Exactly.
that is one of my pet peeves, Patty.
I, I bet as a financial planner, and again, it comes down to planning.
Yeah.
So when you plan ahead, you're planning in January, look back at your budgeting, look forward on your budgeting,
Yeah.
where the money is coming in, where it's going. That way you can keep that credit card debt down, zero, pay it off, right?
Right, right. And sometimes, like I said, some people are using Venmo for certain things, and that's more like, I owe you money because you picked up the tickets, or, for
Right.
the play we
Chipping
went
in for
to
this. Mhm.
pre-pandemic, of course, that kind of thing. And, other than that, people are doing web bill pay, for the
Good.
most part. I think us oldsters are the only ones who still use checks. A
Mhm.
lot of my
Yeah,
younger generation, they're like, what's a check?
guilty.
I'm like,
Yeah, my kids don't even know what a checkbook looks like. They don't
"Oh,
care. They
I'm
don't.
still old fashioned. I have one. But
Same.
but that doesn't mean they shouldn't know where everything is on the household budget. Like,
Of course.
housing, what's their rent or their mortgage costs, and some of the housing costs within there, like the line, if they had a line of credit, or homeowners insurance, things like that. There's a whole bunch of expenses that go within housing. So they should like kind of look at what they spent this year and then plan out next year. Is the rent going to be increased, or if they own a home, are the property taxes going to be increased, because that's a housing budget item. So you got
Hmm.
to look at things like that as well, and landscaping too. If if you
Yep.
own a home, not just yeah, you can mow your own lawn, and most of us do up until a certain point, or is there an issue with snow removal? So you have other different expenses as well.
Yeah. So there's all separate buckets
Yeah.
that we can create
Yeah.
in our expense sheet. And
Right.
we want to keep that updated monthly, if
Right.
possible, certainly in January.
Yeah. Definitely
We,
take a
we
look
want,
in January,
okay.
because that's where you can see where you fell off.
Yep.
And then you can make the changes for the following year. Like I said, I thought we were spending too much money in restaurants. So I said, all right, well, here's our dollar amount for restaurants this year. I went a little step further. And I said, okay, well, every month here, I went to the bank and I took out a certain dollar amount and I put it in one of, the bank envelopes they give you. And I said, every month when we go out, we have to take the cash from here. And once we're out of cash, we can't go out to dinner. We
Yeah.
can't go out to eat anymore.
The hard stop.
It was a hard stop. It was a hard stop.
Right
It
there.
kept us in line, but sometimes you got to do that, right? Because we all love going
Right.
out to eat. So we're like,
Right.
yeah, I'll go out to eat. Sure. So we only had to do that for 3 months and then everything got shut down. So, hey,
Yeah.
I had good intentions.
Very good.
Yeah.
Good tip. Good
Yeah.
tip right there.
Yeah. So,
Thanks.
and then some of the other household, the household budget items are your utilities, what are you keeping the lights on, the water, the
Yep.
internet, things like that, household consumables. How much are you paying in groceries versus takeout food? Because that's part of it too. And then
Yep.
groceries, are you going to one of those really expensive boutique supermarkets, or are you going to the regular supermarkets where the prices are reasonable? Like, so take a look at that as well,
Important.
because that can be some hidden cost as well.
You're right.
And then your transportation, that's another item. Is it a car payment? Is it a lease payment, or your car insurance, or are you taking driving services like Uber or Lyft, things
Mhm.
like that? It's still a cost factor, so you have to
Mhm.
budget it in.
Yeah.
And then essentials like your
Personal
healthcare.
expenses.
Yeah, yeah, your healthcare, your retirement plan contributions, and if you're not maxing out those retirement plan contributions, in my opinion, should increase every single year. And, and obviously my goal for my clients is maxing out those, contributions.
Yeah.
And then also, you also can't forget to save a budgetary line item, saving for your rainy day and your emergency fund.
That's right.
That emergency fund needs to be funded every month, because you never know. Like, look what happened.
Mhm.
Who would have ever thought we'd have a global pandemic, global shutdown? Like, did anybody predict this? No.
Oh,
Did my, normal rule of thumb, 6 months worth of expenses, pan
yeah.
out? Well, maybe now I'd ratchet it up to 9 after this, right?
No, it's difficult. A lot of families are struggling.
Yeah,
They've lost their job. They're
yeah,
looking to pay their rent
yeah.
and their expenses, and they have to dip into that emergency fund.
Right. And you
It's
know what?
really tough.
No one ever thinks it's going to happen. It's not going to happen to them.
Yes.
Right. It's
Yes.
it's like we're all teenagers when we think about that, because teenagers, nothing's ever going to happen to them. Ask my teenage children.
Right.
But I mean, we have an emergency fund, but we think, oh, well, we'll never need that. But yeah, guess what? You will. You never know. And it's going to be like that. It's going to be an immediate
Yeah.
event that you're going to need that. So really put that on the budget as well. And also, you know what? Let's schedule some fun things too. Let's put some entertainment on the budget,
Yeah.
when we're allowed to have it, going out again.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Club memberships, movies, plays, sporting events, things like that, and concerts, things that we all enjoy. You want to put them in the
Very
budget
important.
because you're going to do it. You got to do it. You have to have
Got
some
it.
fun, right?
Yep. Helps our overall health.
Yeah, yeah. And then for childcare expenses, whether or not you have daycare or tuition, I'm getting to the point where I have a senior, a junior, and an eighth grader. So, I'm looking at college tuitions right now. Oh, yay, fun.
Oh, yay. Yeah.
But that goes back to savings, thankfully.
Yep.
I've
Pre-planning.
I've saved, and I'm like, whew, thank God I did, because the prices are crazy for these schools.
And that's another whole series, a
Oh,
discussion we can have is about those college funds.
oh,
What are they called? There's a number
oh.
to them.
Well, I use the 529 plans.
There it is, the 529 plans.
Mhm,
Some
mhm.
people may not know about those.
Yeah, we can do
Those
it. We
helped
can do
us
a topic
out
on that.
very much for our
Yeah.
three daughters.
Well, I
They're
will
out of school.
tell you, well, I was very poor growing up, and I had to basically put myself through college, and that was fine. But I don't know if the kids these days, because the college prices are so exorbitant, if they could do that. But that drove my decision to save for college. And that was a key point for me. You know how sometimes there's just
Yep.
something sticking in, and you gotta make sure you have that.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, since my kids had their social security numbers, they've had contributions to their 529 plans. And I'll tell you what, I talk to people and they're like, oh, my kid's only 3, my kid's only 8. And, I plan a time. I'm like, no, you don't. No, you don't. Like, people would say that to me, it's going to be here like that. And I'm like, and I'm doing college applications with my son. And I'm like, oh my God, how did this happen? It's coming.
So important.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a whole nother discussion we'll have.
Yeah, for sure. And then all the other stuff that comes with kids, they're expensive, man, those little critters. You got babysitters, you got lessons, you got sports.
Oh, yeah.
Expensive. Keep
Yeah.
saving.
Birthday gifts for the friends,
Yes.
all kinds of
Yes.
things. So
Yeah.
super helpful.
Yeah, and then you have charitable
helpful.
deduction or charitable donations. We try to donate to a couple nonprofits every year, just like everybody else. We do what we can.
Yep. Yep.
So you want to budget for something like that. And, now it's year end. Yes. We had, you have Giving Tuesday in November. Is that right after Thanksgiving?
No. Yeah. Right after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yep.
But in the beginning of the year, I'm like, okay, what do I want to do this year? But also at the end of the year, I'm like, well, do I have a little bit more that I
Yeah,
can
it's a
give?
tax saving.
Especially, with a pandemic, you're like, all right, well, these nonprofits are really hurting. So you want to budget all that as well. So that's really, keeping it real. And one of my favorite sayings is, it's about what you keep, not about what you spend. Because people get caught up on, oh, look, I have this and I got this and I got that. And I'm like, okay, that's great. But it's really, it's not about how much can I spend. It's how much can I save, and how much can I keep from my paycheck every time I get paid to, put aside for myself and my family.
Good mindset to be in, for sure. Yeah, keep as much as you can. You don't need a lot of the material items. I think this pandemic has taught us many lessons that way.
Yeah.
How can we live simpler lives? What do we really need, and what versus what we want? And materialism doesn't always bring us the happiness.
No.
So it's good to be able to keep and hold on to our bank accounts, let them grow, let the money grow for us and work in a good way.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Wow, super helpful. This has been so fun and
Thank you.
educational and helpful.
Thank you. Thank
Really
you.
starts us off in the right mindset for budgeting in the new year.
Yeah. Yeah. And we all, you know what, y'all,
Great.
I need a reset every year myself. So if it helps somebody by just listening to this, then that's great.
Thank you. Thanks. So this has been fun.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah. So how do people reach you to talk more finance?
Yes. My website is forgewealth.com. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at Forge Wealth, and LinkedIn. I'm Regina Mccann Hess.
That's great. And I am Patty Burke. I am at wholebodyfocus.com and at another website, wholehealthcollc.com, and at LinkedIn, Patricia Burke, and Instagram, Patty Wholebody. So we really appreciate you being here with us. We will talk more health and wealth in our upcoming segments.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.